Deep in the jungles of Cambodia lies a structure so vast, so precise, and so mysterious that even modern engineers are left speechless. Angkor Wat is the largest temple complex on Earth, yet many believe it's much more than just a temple. Its alignment with the stars, its hidden geometries, and its eerie similarities with ancient Egypt and the Maya raise a powerful question: was Angkor Wat part of a forgotten global civilization? In this documentary, we'll decode the secrets of Angkor, from its celestial blueprint to its forbidden symbolism, and uncover a shocking possibility. Angkor Wat may be a lost key to humanity's true origin. At sunrise, golden light spills across 5 lotus-shaped towers. Beneath them, a moat as wide as a river guards the gates of something ancient. Angkor Wat is not merely built, it is carved, aligned, and designed with a purpose we still don't understand. Angkor Wat wasn't built overnight. It wasn't even built in a single generation. Commissioned in the early 12th century by King Suryavarman II, the temple spans over 400 acres, larger than the Vatican and the Great Pyramids of Giza combined. At its peak, the surrounding city of Angkor supported up to 1 million people, making it one of the largest pre-industrial urban centers in the world. But here's the mystery: how did a civilization without modern machines transport and position stones weighing up to 10 tons with almost laser-like precision? Even more puzzling is the absence of construction records. Despite being one of the grandest architectural projects in human history, no detailed inscriptions or carvings describe how it was built. No blueprints, no scrolls, just ruins that feel like they were never meant to be understood by us. Angkor's design reflects deep cosmological beliefs. The central tower represents Mount Meru, the mythical center of the universe in Hindu and Buddhist traditions. Surrounding it are smaller towers symbolizing lesser peaks, continents, and oceans. This isn't just symbolic, it's mathematical, with ratios and dimensions corresponding to celestial cycles. But what if it goes deeper than myth? What if this temple was actually a cosmic machine, an ancient tool of measurement, energy, or even communication? Let's go further. Stand at the western gate of Angkor on the spring equinox, and something remarkable happens. The sun rises precisely above the central tower, perfectly aligned. Not by chance, by design. This is one of the most mysterious aspects of Angkor Wat: its astronomical alignment. Unlike most ancient temples, which face east to greet the rising sun, Angkor Wat faces west, associated in Hindu cosmology with death and the afterlife. Some scholars believe this suggests the temple was intended as a funerary monument, but others argue it's an encoded celestial message. Research has shown that Angkor's layout mirrors key solar and lunar events. The central axis of the temple aligns with the spring equinox sunrise. The number of steps, towers, and levels often corresponds to lunar cycles or planetary movements. The massive moat surrounding the temple is thought to symbolize the cosmic ocean, a common motif in ancient cosmology. But it gets stranger. In 1976, architect and researcher Eleanor Manica proposed that Angkor Wat encodes a calendar. She discovered that various architectural features like the number of windows, columns, and steps match the number of days in solar and lunar years. For example, the western entrance has 365 steps, exactly the number of days in a year. Certain galleries contain 12 towers, possibly representing the zodiac or months. The central causeway aligns with the path of the sun during equinoxes, casting shadows that act like a massive sundial. In effect, Angkor Wat may be the largest astronomical observatory ever constructed, hidden in plain sight as a religious monument. Still, not convinced? Let's zoom out. Satellite imagery and topographic studies reveal that Angkor isn't just one temple, it's part of a massive grid of structures, reservoirs, canals, and roads, many of which align with solar and lunar cycles. The layout of Angkor mirrors the heavens, particularly the path of the sun and moon over the year. And here's the kicker: the layout of Angkor has been compared to that of the Giza Plateau in Egypt, where the three pyramids align with Orion's belt. Some researchers propose that Angkor's temples mirror the constellation Draco or Leo, constellations associated with death, rebirth, and the underworld across cultures. So, what does this mean? It suggests the Khmer builders were not just architects, they were astronomers, cosmologists, and mathematicians, perhaps inheriting lost knowledge from a much older civilization. Or perhaps they were rediscovering what was once known across the world. Could Angkor Wat be a celestial map, pointing us toward a forgotten truth? Next, we decode the sacred geometry within Angkor's walls and discover how the temple was built not just to mirror the heavens, but to embody the entire universe. Step inside the inner sanctum of Angkor Wat, and you'll begin to sense something off, not in a flawed way, but in a way too perfect to be ordinary. Every distance, every angle, every elevation follows a pattern, a hidden geometry, a cosmic code etched in stone. The architects of Angkor Wat didn't just build with stone, they built with meaning. Let's start with the numbers. Across the temple complex, we find recurring numbers. 5 towers, like the 5 peaks of Mount Meru. 108, the sacred number in both Hinduism and Buddhism. 72, appearing in stair counts and steps linked to the precession of the equinoxes. Even for 132, a number seen in Vedic cosmology, Norse mythology, and the Great Pyramid's proportions. These aren't coincidences. They reflect a system of sacred geometry, a belief that numbers and shapes can represent the divine structure of the universe. For example, the mandala layout of Angkor reflects the order of the cosmos. The concentric galleries mirror chakra systems, levels of consciousness, or even dimensional planes. Zooming out, we find that Angkor Wat itself is a giant mandala, a cosmic diagram meant to bring the human closer to the divine. But the geometry doesn't end at symbolism. It affects the physical experience of the temple. Angkor was built with harmonic proportions, ratios that resonate with the human body and with natural patterns. Much like ancient Greek temples or Gothic cathedrals, its architecture may influence how we feel, think, and even vibrate on a cellular level. Some researchers even believe Angkor's layout generates a form of resonance, not just spiritual, but energetic. Certain chambers reflect sound in perfect symmetry. Could this have been used in rituals, healing, communication, and what about the symbolism? Take a close look at the bas-reliefs carved into the sandstone walls. You'll find the churning of the ocean of milk, an epic Vedic scene believed to encode cosmic creation, depictions of flying beings, celestial stairways, and hybrid creatures, images that resemble star charts, planetary alignments, or even galactic spirals. Here's the wild part: these symbols also appear in ancient Egypt, Sumeria, Mesoamerica, and India. How? Why? Is this a case of cultural diffusion over millennia? Or are they remnants of a shared source, a primordial civilization, lost to time? One clue lies in the sky. What if the temples of Earth were built to mirror the heavens above? And what if Angkor was one piece in a vast, planetary map etched in stone by civilizations long forgotten? In 1994, researchers noticed something strange. When they mapped the locations of Angkor's major temples, the pattern resembled a familiar constellation, Orion's Belt. 3 temples: Angkor Wat, Bakse Chamkrong, and Phnom Bakheng Forma. Near exact match to Orion's 3 belt stars, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mentaka. The layout isn't just similar, it mirrors the inclination, position, and spacing of the stars. The alignment is so precise that many believe it couldn't have been accidental. This theory is strikingly similar to the Orion correlation theory at Giza in Egypt, where the 3 pyramids are believed to represent the same constellation. In both cases, the temple's pyramids align with the belt stars, the orientation matches ancient sky maps, and the monuments themselves represent the ascent to the heavens. So, is Angkor part of a larger pattern? In 2005, researchers expanded the theory and discovered that 21 temples in the Angkor region align with star constellations visible in the pre-dawn sky around 10,500 BCE, a date also associated with Graham Hancock's lost civilization hypothesis. And the Great Sphinx of Giza, this date aligns with the precession of the equinoxes, a 26,000-year cycle where the Earth's axis wobbles and the sky shifts over time. It's a cycle so long, modern science only confirmed it in recent centuries, yet somehow, ancient builders at Angkor and Giza may have encoded it thousands of years ago. Coincidence? Or does this point to a civilization far older than we're? Todd, let's look at one more detail. At Angkor, the western causeway aligns with the sunrise on the spring equinox, while at Giza, the Sphinx faces due east toward the equinox sunrise in both sites. Temples are oriented to match celestial events. This kind of alignment requires astronomical knowledge, precise tools, and most importantly a reason. So, what was the purpose? Some believe these sites were temples of time calendars etched in stone, keeping track of cosmic cycles. Others argue they were portals, aligned with stargates, designed to harness celestial energy or spiritual power. One of the most provocative theories suggests that these alignments marked when the gods arrived or would return. Is it possible that ancient cultures saw certain star alignments not just as beautiful but as cosmic events of contact? Were Angkor and Giza built not just to observe the stars but to connect with something beyond them? Next, we'll ask the deeper question: were the builders of Angkor using lost technology or forgotten knowledge passed down from a civilization we've never discovered? You can't look at Angkor Wat and not ask one haunting question: how did they do this without steel, electricity, or even the wheel? Let's pause and take in what Angkor truly is: a temple complex over 160 hectares wide, carved with more than 20,000 square meters of intricate bas-reliefs using stone blocks weighing up to 1.5 tons each, transported from quarries 50 kilometers away. Across rivers and forests, mainstream archaeology explains this feat through elephants, wooden sleds, and thousands of workers over decades, but some researchers find that explanation lacking. For example, the leveling of Angkor Wat's foundation is so precise that it deviates by less than a centimeter over hundreds of meters. The hydraulic system of Angkor, including barrays, moats, canals, and underground reservoirs, was more advanced than anything else in the ancient world. It allowed year-round agriculture, urban cooling, and even ritual cleansing. Now think about this: these canals were dug with perfect gradient flow, likely calculated using a system we don't fully understand today. The sandstone was cut, lifted, transported, and placed with such precision that there is no mortar yet no collapse after 800 years of monsoons and war. So, what was the secret? Some speculate about advanced surveying tools, perhaps using the stars or resonance. Others propose geopolymer technology, a form of ancient concrete. There's even speculation about sound-based levitation, similar to what is rumored at Egyptian or Tibetan sites. But perhaps the real lost technology is human consciousness. Ancient texts often describe knowledge passed through intuition, astral travel, or spiritual connection, not machines. What if Angkor's builders operated with a different understanding of energy, space, and time? After all, the Vedas, Khmer inscriptions, and ancient myths don't talk about machines, they talk about the divine, about harmonies, about laws of the universe embedded in creation. Could the forgotten knowledge of Angkor be not technological, in a sense, but consciousness-based? Were these temples designed to alter perception, to connect the physical with the cosmic? It's time to revisit the people who built it. We know the name of the king. We know the timeline. But do we really know the builders of Angkor Wat? Or are we just reading the surface of a much older story? Conventional history credits King Suryavarman II, who reigned in the early 12th century, with commissioning Angkor Wat as a Hindu temple to Vishnu, but many details raise deeper questions. Why does the temple face west, traditionally associated with death, not divinity? Why are there astronomical alignments and precession-based numbers, knowledge thought to be lost in that era? And why do some foundations predate Suryavarman's reign? Some inscriptions suggest that Angkor was restored, not founded, that the site had sacred significance long before the Khmer Empire. And here's where it gets strange. Local legends say the temples were built in a single night by the god Indra or by a race of celestial beings. The temple builders are referred to as Devas, Nagas, and Rakshasas, divine or serpent-like architects. These may sound like myths, but similar beings appear in ancient India as Asuras and Vimanas, Mesopotamia as Anunnaki, South America as Viracochas, even Egypt as Neiters. Are these symbolic stories or cultural memories of beings perhaps human, perhaps not, who possessed knowledge and power beyond what we imagine? Let's not forget, Angkor lies along a global grid of ancient megalithic sites that form energetic lines, the so-called ley lines. Some even claim the region resonates with geomagnetic anomalies, like those found at Giza, Stonehenge, or Machu Picchu. Could it be that the Khmer Empire didn't build from scratch, but inherited an ancient power center, infused with forgotten wisdom? Or could the Khmer have been descendants of survivors from a much older civilization, one that existed before the flood, before recorded time? Modern scholars may scoff, but the evidence keeps pointing in one direction. Angkor may not just be the achievement of a medieval king, but a palimpsest, a layered record of much older civilizations. Next, we'll dive deeper into that global connection. Why do temples across continents align to Orion, mirror the same myths, and use identical sacred numbers? Is it time to rethink human history itself? How is it possible that temples in Cambodia, pyramids in Egypt, and cities buried beneath the sea all share the same geometry, numbers, and myths? At first glance, Angkor Wat may seem isolated, a magnificent achievement of the Khmer Empire, lost in the jungles of Southeast Asia. But when viewed from above, The picture changes. Satellite analysis shows that Angkor Wat aligns almost perfectly with the constellation Draco, the same constellation that the Giza pyramids in Egypt mirror in relation to Orion. Even more shocking, the layout of Angkor mirrors the stars of Draco circa 10,500 BC, a date echoed in the Orion correlation theory of Giza. That's over 12,000 years ago, thousands of years before the Khmer Empire or even ancient Egypt. Coincidence? Let's go deeper. Angkor's sacred geometry uses the sacred cubit, a unit also found in the Great Pyramid of Giza, Stonehenge in England, Teotihuacan in Mexico. Its proportions are based on phi, the golden ratio, and the precessional cycle of the Earth, 25,920 years, a number encoded in mythologies across the globe. Ancient sites from Egypt, Peru, India, Mesopotamia, and even the underwater city of Dwarka in India all embed this same lost knowledge. The Angkor complex even has mythical similarities to Atlantis. Both were massive water-based cities, both emphasized temples, astronomy, and spiritual knowledge. Both were eventually lost to catastrophe or jungle. Could it be that Angkor was part of a global network of sacred sites built with one cosmic purpose? To track time, to anchor energy, to preserve knowledge from a forgotten golden age. Even Plato wrote of an ancient civilization that spread knowledge across the world before a great flood. Is Angkor one of its surviving outposts? Tour guides call it a temple. Historians call it a palace. But what if Angkor Wat's real purpose was something much more profound? Let's begin with the layout. The design of Angkor Wat is mathematical perfection. It encodes the solar year, lunar cycles, equinoxes, and the great year of 25,920 years, Earth's axial precession. Each gallery, tower, and corridor seems to serve as a calendar, a map, and possibly a resonance chamber. But to map what? Some researchers suggest Angkor Wat is not just aligned with the stars, it's a time machine in stone, a place to mark cosmic cycles, to predict catastrophic changes in the heavens, to preserve knowledge of cycles forgotten by modern science. See others. Go further. In Vedic cosmology, temples are not simply places of worship, they are yantras, spiritual machines. They concentrate energy, realign the human with the cosmos. Could Angkor Wat have served a similar purpose? Its vast reservoirs called Bares weren't just irrigation. They may have symbolized the ocean of milk, a Hindu myth about cosmic rebirth. Its central tower represents Mount Meru, the axis of the universe. It's as if the entire site was meant to simulate the cosmos itself, allowing initiates to walk through space, time, and spirit. And then there's the final mystery. Why was Angkor abandoned? Why, after centuries of dominance, did the jungle reclaim this sacred city? Some blame war. Others blame climate, but maybe the site had served its purpose. Maybe Angkor Wat was never meant to last forever, but to stand long enough for someone else to rediscover its message. A message etched in stone, hidden in myths, and now re-emerging as humanity begins to remember. Angkor Wat is not just a monument, it is a message. One carved in stone, hidden in symbols, and guarded by time. For centuries, Angkor lay abandoned, swallowed by the jungle, forgotten by history. But what if this was never accidental? What if its rediscovery was always meant to happen, now in our time? In a world flooded with distractions, we are beginning to look back to when humanity was still in tune with the stars. Back to when stones spoke, not through words but through geometry, light, and alignment. As we've seen, Angkor Wat encodes cosmic cycles larger than any civilization, mathematical truths that defy its supposed age, and patterns that connect it to Egypt, India, and possibly Atlantis, but most of all, it encodes a forgotten worldview. One where architecture was a bridge between heaven and earth, where temples were cosmic machines, where humans weren't separate from the universe but reflections of it. Perhaps this is why so many ancient sites across the globe seem to whisper the same truth: you were more than you remember. You lived through ages the world has forgotten, and the knowledge was never lost. It was just waiting to be found again. So the next time you see Angkor Wat not as a ruin, but as a revelation, remember this: the real secret was never just in the stones. It was in the message they were trying to preserve for us. And now, it's up to us to listen.